Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Own Her Power podcast with Coach Ashley Carter. I am so grateful to each and every one of you who have listened to the podcast every week for the last month and a half. It has been a joy and an honor to share not only my knowledge with you, but the interviews that I've had with other coaches, other players, and just really badass women in the world who are doing amazing, wonderful things. I want to say shout out to everybody who's also following me on YouTube. Now you're able there to also see the interviews as they happen. And so I'm just, again, grateful to each and every one of you guys. I would ask that if you are on this journey with me, that you would help me spread the word about this podcast. What I mean by that is there are a couple ways that you can help me just make this a bigger platform to be heard and be seen. So one of the ways would be definitely to follow me on YouTube. In fact, today I'm going to be talking through 4 types of goals, and I'm going to just give you a visual here on my whiteboard. So I want to make sure that if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, that you have a moment to actually go and take a look at what we're talking about here on my whiteboard. I would also say another way that you can help me is by leaving a rating. I'm always shooting for a 5-star. Hopefully the content that you are getting and receiving is something that you seem to believe is valuable. So again, if you have an opportunity to do so, please go and leave me a 5-star rating. Also, I'll take a comment. And another way I would say that you can also help me is through social media. If you see me share that I have a new podcast out today and you listen to it and you found something beneficial to you or valuable to you, if you can just maybe share it on a story or repost it, tag me in it, I'll make sure that I repost it or I retag it back to you so that you know that I saw it and that how much I appreciate you all for being such great people who helped me build this platform. So as we get going today, I'm going to talk about this idea of the 4 types of goals, specifically for performers and athletes. They usually find their goals in one of these 4 buckets. And then if you were able to create this idea of a staircase, usually these goals kind of go from top to bottom. But what happens is we either get stuck at the bottom or we get stuck at the top, not taking the steps to the top. And I'll kind of give you a little bit more detail as we go a little bit further into this podcast. I will also say that in the business world, folks usually use this idea of a SMART goal. So any goal that someone creates, they create a SMART goal. And a SMART goal, the acronym of SMART is S being that it's specific, the M being that it's measurable, the A being that it's attainable, the R being that it's realistic. It's something that I actually can complete in the settings that I have of myself. And the T is a time aspect to it. How much time am I giving myself? What's realistic to that time frame? So that's something that the business world uses that I will also encourage you to kind of look at your goals and figure out those steps. But however, today, one of the steps of the goals, or one of the 4 types of the goals, actually breaks down the SMART goal really well for us. So here we go. All right. So the number 1 goal, usually at the bottom tier, is this idea of a default goal. Okay, and a default goal is a goal that happens usually from one of our automatic negative thoughts. So usually they come from this idea of the opinions of other people. They come from this idea of comparing ourselves to other people. They might come from the prize. Okay, these are goals that also could come from fear. So the number 1 goal, I have it written on my board here, the default goal. Okay, and I just wrote here, either it's fear-based, comparison-based, prize-based, and opinions-based. Okay. So this is the bottom layer of a tier. Usually an idea comes to mind. Maybe it's because something that someone says or something that you want to do to prove someone else wrong. I'll give you an example of this. All right. So we are bottom of the 7th, full count, two outs, runners in scoring position. We're down by 1 run. And all of a sudden we put this pressure on ourselves to basically score this runner. And we put so much pressure on ourselves, this becomes a default goal. This is a goal. We want you to score the runner, but it came because of the pressure, because of the fear of that situation. Another example of this would be, I've been at many ballparks and one of the things that I always hear is, hey, I'll give you $100 if you hit a home run, or grandparents are in the stands, I'll buy you some ice cream if you do well today. So then it creates this like urgency of a goal that maybe I haven't worked towards in order to help me get there. So something that came up in an instance and you wanted to complete it in an instance. That's probably a good way of saying a default goal. All right. So the number 2 goal, which I love the most out of all of the performance goals, is the idea of the process goal. So the process goal is one where we are focusing more on the routines, the habits, the thoughts that we have, the plans, the preparation that we put into our craft, okay? So again, process goal, again, being habits, routines, plans, and thoughts. All right, so as I think about a process, this is kind of where the SMART goal comes in. I might have a goal of maybe in the situation where we are bottom of the 7th, runners in scoring position, full count, 2 outs. Maybe my then goal in this instance is to swing at strikes, right? To hunt the pitch that I'm trying to pitch, that's going to score the runner. If I focus on those 2 things, those are based on processes, not necessarily based on outcomes. So I'm going to measure myself. Let's say I hit the ball and I get out. I'm going to measure the fact that I swung at a strike, and I'm going to measure the fact that I hunted the pitch that I wanted to hit to score the runner. And if the outcome doesn't actually happen, that's okay. I'm going to measure the fact that I was able to do the things that I had planned and prepared for. That's where our focus needs to be most of the time as athletes, but we spend a lot of times in the next 2 sets of goals. All right. So hopefully you guys are following along so far, and you guys are kind of just understand what I'm coming around with. But the next goal is going to the idea of a performance goal. Okay, so performance goal is going to be number 3. Performance goal, I would say, is probably where we spend most of our time individually as athletes. It's kind of like our ego boosters to know that we are successful or not based on external factors. So society will spend a lot of time in this particular area, the performance goal. So as we think about the performance goal, we might be thinking about the rankings that happen. You are in 8th grade, and for some reason they're ranking you already on where you fit in this world of sport. It's really unfortunate, and it's really unfortunate that even us as coaches use those rankings sometimes to validate your behaviors. But I'm here to tell you that a ranking does not make you who you are. It does not make you valuable or less valuable because you are on the ranking or not on the ranking. So I want to make that clear right now. The second thing that performance goals rate are usually win and loss records. So those are another area that we focus on. I would say stats is another one, and metrics. So, maybe I was lifting 200 and now I'm deadlifting, let's say 300. That's really a big number, but we constantly have these measuring things that we're using to determine our worth and our value in that particular instance or sport or craft. So I would say those are all performance goals. And so don't get me wrong, we need those, but we need those in a certain order, all right? And then the last set of goals that we have is this idea of outcomes-based goals, okay? So outcomes-based goals are usually the team comes together and they're like, okay, I wanna make sure that we get it to the championship. I wanna get to the World Series. I wanna win the World Series, right? I wanna win conference. I want to win PGF. I want to win Triple Crown tournaments. I want to win the end of the season awards, MVP, right? Most honorable player, most important player, most valuable player. All these things are based on outcomes. I want to hit home runs, right? I want to steal bases. I want to beat the record. I want to be an All-American. All of these things are pretty much outcome goals. Now, again, as I mentioned, those are not bad goals. We just have to figure out the right processes to help us get there. All right. So if we looked and assumed a staircase in all of this, this is kind of how the staircase would go. Okay. The staircase would go that I want to start here at the default goal. I'm just going to kind of create a staircase here. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to go, here's my default goals. Okay. And so default goals can actually create an actual path to regular success, but it usually starts with a default goal, okay? Once we get to the default goal, then we might move up to the next set of steps, which are gonna be my process goals. So once I've created Once I create the default goal, I create next the processes to help me accomplish the goal that I have set, usually based on fear or other people's opinions or the prize or the outcomes, okay? From there, we move up then to the performance goal. So we can use the performance goal as another measuring stick to, am I following the process? And hopefully the process creates the performance goals, not the performance goal creating the process, if that makes sense. So I'm not gonna hope to win and lose. I'm gonna hope to do the little things that were in my process, right? Swing at strikes, hunt the pitch that I'm looking for, hit the catcher where the spot is what needs to be at, right? If they hit it, they hit it. If they don't, they don't. If I hit it, I hit it. If I don't, I don't, right? So it's just an idea of, we focus on the measuring piece of this. Once we can complete the performance goal, then as a outcome of that, we get to the outcome goals, okay? So again, creating these steps to success is how you can be the best that you can be within these 4 goals. So as you notice, all 4 of them can be used to positively move you forward, but you have to start from a space and then move up, all right? And when I think about what goals are controllable in this staircase to success, the one thing that we can actually control, which we talked about last week when it comes to success, in our success plan, is what are the things that are in my control, and the things that are in our control are going to be our process goals, okay? Those are the things that we want to dictate our successes based off of, all right? Not the outcomes, not the performance levels, and not the defaults. Learn how to spend most of your time in the processes so that you then can be successful in all the other areas that are to come, all right? So if you need more guidance or help on this, I'm happy to kind of talk to you one-on-one offline. Feel free to send me a message or a DM. I look forward to you guys kind of giving me some feedback on this one. And again, just know that you are unique, that you are valuable, and that you are enough, and that there are 8 billion people in this world, yet there is only one of you. So you are you, and that is enough, right? So own your power today, all right? Have an awesome day, everybody. I will talk to you again next week. Peace.